Hello, this is RICKY, the Android guy. Alright guys, so today I'm comparing two of the heavy hitters out in the market, and that is the new iPad versus the Nexus 10. Now, the Nexus 10 has gone up against the Note 10.1, which still one of the top ones, arguably still the top one on Android, and the iPad has gone against the Note 10.1. Now we're trying to figure out which one out of these two is going to be the better one for you to buy and why. The thing I always want to point out is I do it on a point system, so if the points for the iPad are more for your needs, or if the points for the Nexus are more for your needs, then go with that tablet. It's not always a clear-cut winner, because even though one might have the most categories, you should pick out the one for you. Alright, on that note, let's go over the first one. That is look and feel. So the look and feel of the iPad has grown pretty bland at this point. So we have just kind of the same old, it's aluminum brush. You have, the volume rocker, the lock screen or the volume, and the power button. It's just kind of the same old, as well as it's one of the heaviest devices. One thing I can't stand about iPads is just how heavy they are compared to other tablets on the market. Every time I go into a store and I hand someone one of my Android tablets, they're like, oh my god, this is so light. I'm like, well, actually just the iPad is so heavy. So that is the iPad. The Nexus 10, I like it. A lot of people I have met and that I hand it to for them to feel it have loved it. It feels like it's actually a case on there. It's a rubberized backing, which definitely feels like a premium choice quality material. It actually feels like you have a case on there. So a lot of people have liked it. Really, it's very premium feeling, and it's very light as well. So that's one thing that definitely like about the Nexus is very light. You can easily hold it for one hand for a long period of time. And just sleek design. I like the stereo speakers on the front, although we'll go over their sound quality in a bit on the music side. But just really nice look and feel. So I would say overall look and feel, Nexus is definitely different from other tablets on the market, especially with the feel part. No other tablet feels like the Nexus. So that will be that. Alright guys, now let's go into web browsing. Alright, now we will do both landscape and portrait to keep it fair and see the visual differences. Alright, so in this one, let's go to first portrait to see the differences. And already we can see a huge visual difference on here. You get a lot more on your screen with the Nexus 10 comparing to the iPad, and that's simply because of this, two things. One, the aspect ratio. So this is 16:9 versus 4:3, which the future iPads will most likely switch to the 16:9 simply because that's what their iPhones have begun to do. And it is the future. I mean, everything is 16:9 in our world except for the iPad. So if you think about it, if you watch TV, if you go online on your laptop, on your phone, everything is 16:9 with the exception of iPads. So it's an outdated ratio, and everything will move to 16:9, which Apple's already proven they are moving to in their iPhone. So second thing, of course, you have a better resolution on here. So the Nexus 10 is the only tablet that really just completely outclasses Apple when it comes to resolution. So not only is the text a bit crisper here, but it's also, you can fit more of it in a smaller space because of the resolution difference. So it's just a lot finer in comparison. Also, you can definitely see even the color reproduction. Apple tends to be more saturated in terms of the Nexus seems to be more just standard on how we see colors. So let me zoom out now, go over pinch to zoom. So both very responsive. Double tap. So both very responsive again, even though the iPad kind of zoomed in on the double tap for the second time, but so very responsive on it, and so really well done. So there is portrait, and then let's go landscape. Now landscape, Apple will definitely be more zoomed in because they are the thicker of the two in terms of this type of height. So when we see it, try to get both in the same shot. When we see the difference here, we can see that on the, oops, let me make it to the same spot. So now we see that, we get about 2 more lines on here, whereas on Android it just kind of cuts off right there after the bottom line portion. Let me zoom in on that so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So you get a bit more on your screen with the iPad in comparison to the Nexus here. However, this difference is a lot smaller compared to what we just saw of the difference of portrait. So overall, I mean, just simply because of the resolution itself, you get a lot more on your screen on the Nexus 10 for the most part. In terms of pinch zoom, everything else, it seems to be pretty equal, but the main difference will be that you do have, of course, much better just visual, just for clarity wise, on the Nexus 10 versus the iPad. Even from far out, zoomed out, you can make every word on here, whereas the Retina display isn't bad, but it just, you really see the difference compared to the Nexus 10 on every other tablet. So that was on web browsing. Now the one advantage that the Nexus obviously will have is that even though it does not come with Adobe Flash, you can easily put Adobe Flash on a Nexus 10 device, whereas you can't on an iPad. Apple's workarounds are basically different web browsers such as Skyfire and things like that, which attempt to put Flash through a third way into it, but on Nexus 10 you can actually install Adobe Flash full and just use a different browser such as Dolphin browser, and you can have the full Adobe Flash experience, whereas you can't on the iPad. So that's going to be one of the main advantages of web browsing on the Nexus in comparison to the iPad, besides the better resolution. Other than that, let's see in just text purpose, so we can compare the actual books and the text clarity. Now I tried to make these on the same text size as much as I could, just to show you guys the difference. So again, just a little bit more text available on the screen for the Nexus 10, as well as just a bit finer, and let me zoom in more. Just a bit finer in text compared to the iPad, and again just a bit more on the screen. Now again, this does contribute to the ratio as well, but you just get a bit more on the screen with the iPad, whereas the iPad ends on the paragraph "I had learned." Over here on the Nexus, I think it's on the same page, "I had learned." And these difficulties, he appeared, he presented. Oh, "I have learned" is actually in this paragraph. So yes, "I have learned" is actually in this paragraph right here, where you still have 2 more paragraphs, which will be on here on the iPad on the second page. So you just get a bit more on the screen. See, on the iPad on the second page, it starts off with just "what young," and on the Nexus it's still on this page, just "what young." So just a bit better in terms of text and reading ability on the Nexus versus the iPad. Both have really good gestures. I would say the Nexus is also a little bit quicker when it comes to that too. The Nexus does have a better processor, so it's expected to be, but you can see on even things like such as page animations, the Nexus will just completely outclass it. All right. And now let's go into music. So let's see what songs we have on both the devices. And let's play the same song.
Shot, I know you be hearing this and that from here and there, but please trust and believe, Lord. I see you gon' ride for me, so I'ma die for you. Is you with me? I got your back. But let's get it. When it's all.
Okay.
Hey. Shot, I know you be hearing this and that from here and there, but please trust and believe, Lord. I see you gon' ride for me, so I'ma die for you. Is you with me? I got your back. But let's get it.
Alright, so easily the iPad is a louder sound quality. I do like the fact that the bass on the Nexus doesn't make it a bit too staticky on the iPad. They both are at their loudest, which since the iPad does go louder, you just hear a lot more bass sound of kind of just the actual noise that bass produces instead of actual bass. So that's one thing I do not like about the iPad, but it does have louder sound overall, so the music portion will easily go to the iPad, just because most people do want louder as opposed to clear most of the time. Alright, and now we will go to video. Let's play a video on the same one. And our YouTube videos seem to have gone off on the iPad. Okay. So we will have them side by side. Okay. And then we will play them both. And let's turn the volume down a little bit just so we don't get okay. And now let's play these videos. I will actually even play it with the light off, so a little bit easier to see. And now let's play.
Hey man, how's it going? What's going on? What are you doing here? Samsung wants me to be in their new, their big commercial. Next big thing, yeah. They called me in for the next big thing. Maybe in like 1998, you were the next big thing. Wow, I've never seen you this excited about something that isn't food. You are not the next big thing. They make people physically uncomfortable. Look, man, they gave me a phone. I got one too. Where'd you get that? They gave it to me because I'm the next big thing. This makes no sense, man. Are you sure that maybe you're not here to see a guy named Samsung? That would make more sense. You know what? Let's find a favorable review to one of your movies. No results found. You know what's great about this is when you take a picture, you can draw on it, and I can actually retouch it, and I can make you look.
Okay, well that's unfortunate. We have an ad right here. Let me see if I can go a little bit further. Oh, I see. It's just when I pause it.
You're still in your. Why don't you take that S pen and.
So, in terms of reproduction quality, you can definitely see in like the strands of hair right here that the Galaxy S3 will be a lot, the Galaxy S3, the Nexus 10 is definitely sharper compared to the iPad. Of course, you get a much bigger screen as well with it. So video watching is just enjoyable. iPad, you cannot make full screen and watch a video. And what I mean by that is when you play a video on full screen, like this, it is not the full video. Look at it. You're missing half of the video. So I do not count that as being a full video just because simply it's not a full video. So you cannot watch a full 1080p video the way it was meant to be seen on an iPad, whereas you can on the Nexus 10. So there you go. And so that was the video comparison. How about the camera? So the camera should be better on the iPad, and when we checked out our photos, it looked to be just that. So let's check out the photos. And all right. So same video, the same photo taken. And now I want to pinch to zoom. We can see the iPad, it's a bit more detailed right here on the G, the engraving part, just a bit more crisper on the detail. And when we go over here to the color reproduction, we actually get something pretty interesting. I don't know if I have it with me. Now my camcorder tends to oversaturate a little bit too, but on the color reproduction, this one is oversaturated and this one is undersaturated. This really is in between the two. The green on here is much lighter green compared to the iPad, and as well as the red, as well as the yellow. I would say it's slightly truer here, but this one's very, very neutral, but up to the point where it's not realistic in terms of what it actually is. So in terms of color reproduction, I really call that a draw, but because the iPad had the detail one, it will go to the iPad. And now when it comes to gaming. Now gaming is kind of hard. I saw, I tried to get like a game that they both had that was free on the iPad so I wouldn't have to purchase it or anything like that. And in terms of this game, sorry, I just have to load it on the Android just so you guys can see the exact same screen on it. It's very hard to tell, to be honest. I feel that the colors are a little bit stronger on the iPad, and the experience, I would say, is a little bit more enjoyable on the Nexus. One, for just holding it is a little bit more comfortable, and the controllers just feel more natural, especially, maybe it's just the side edges, how they curve in, but gaming just feels a bit more natural on the touchscreen controllers on here when you're holding it like this in comparison to the iPad, which is, it's a little bit sharper corners, doesn't feel as comfortable. However, in gaming overall, both of them have a lot of platforms, but as for the time being, Apple still gets a couple of the games for tablets a bit sooner compared to Android. Now, this isn't really true anymore on phones. Phones really have been, everyone's kind of doing both now, and developers have even been showing a greater trend for growing for Android than they have been for Apple now. In terms of tablets, however, we still see a little bit more developers developing first here and then secondary here. This app, for instance, just came out not too long ago, but it came out at the same time for both. So that's really the new trend, is that developers are developing for both at the same time. Now, I feel that as Android has already taken over the 50% tablet market share, I feel this will continue, and not only continue, but eventually that Android will overcompass this. But for the time being, Apple is getting tablet apps a little bit quicker in terms of gaming. In terms of regular apps, I feel that actually Android does a much better job of making the app size full compared to Apple. Apple really does a poor job of having a smaller screen app on their full screen. So, but that's just a little bit. I played the game a couple times on both, and I gave it to a couple different people, and that was kind of the general consensus. Now, in terms of our next category, which is productivity, I have to give it to Android. Simply for the fact that just even from the home screen on each one, you can really make Android more productive. You can look through your emails. You can look through your calendar. You can toggle your widgets on. You can toggle like Bluetooth on and on, Wi-Fi on and on, GPS on and on. These are just really a lot more useful than Apple. You have to double tap and then go into here, and you can do some of those things. But like if I want to turn Wi-Fi on or off, I really have to double tap, go into settings, and then do everything from there. Whereas here, I just tap right here. Even from the lock screen, you can do this. So on Android's lock screen, you can turn on and off toggles, right? You can turn on and off things right here. And, of course, go to your notifications and things like that. So you have that ability. On Apple, when you lock their screen, you can go to camera right here, which of course you can do on Android as well, but, that's about it. You have with notifications, you can't do that, and it's just not as, you can't do as much. It's just, it's a little bit more dull, let's say, in comparison. So productivity, it's really good. Not to mention that you can get apps kind of like this one, which was, it's an app called Super Video, and allows you to do similar things like the pop-up play of that like Samsung devices are known for. So if I wanted to watch a video, I could actually watch it while doing something else. So just the fact that you have the ability to do that is really nice. And so you can do those kind of things with this device, whereas Apple, it is kind of stuck unless you root it basically, or sorry, not root it, unless you basically jailbreak it, which if you're jailbreaking an iPad, you should have just got an Android tablet. That's always been my belief, is just because everything a jailbroken iPad can do, Android can do natively. You don't even need to root it or anything like that. It does it. So I would always say with that. In terms of battery life, the Nexus does beat out the iPad on average. Now both get to about, I would say roughly about 10 hours. However, the Nexus usually trails more at the 11-hour mark. But not to mention also that when you're not using the devices, there is nothing that keeps its battery life longer than the Nexus 10. It really has just, there's been no device that I've used that keeps its battery life for a longer period, a better standby time compared to the Nexus 10. So that's just one really great feature for it. In terms of extras will have to go to the Nexus 10, simply for the fact that you do have a micro HDMI and a micro USB. So micro USB right here, and micro HDMI over here. Just more universal, and not to mention, I mean, although people say, oh, well, you can get an adapter with the iPad and everything like that. Yes, you can get an adapter for the iPad, The problem with that is, however, is that even things like if you get the USB adapter on the Nexus 10, it can read an external hard drive. On the iPad, all the USB adapter can do is the camera, again, unless you get things like jailbreak and things like that. But for the average consumer, they might not want to jailbreak it. So that is something that you don't have to do on Android, that you do have to do on iPad. So it's just, it's really, you get more extras built in with the Nexus 10. However, let's go to accessories. Apple will have more accessories. The iPad has a lot more accessories and cases and everything like that. The Nexus hasn't even caught up to accessories on the level that the Note 10.1 has. The Note 10.1 has a lot more accessories compared to the Nexus. The Nexus is very slow growing on the accessory base in comparison to the iPad. So for that purpose, Apple is obviously one of the kings of accessories on the market. To be honest, the only one in Android that has been able to rival it and even match it has been the Galaxy S3 phone and the Note 2 phone compared to the iPhone. But other than that, I mean, there's never been one to really rival it in comparing to accessories. All right, guys, and then we go to one of the deciding factors definitely for a lot of people, and that is price. Price point for both 16 gigs. On the Nexus 10, it starts at $399. For the iPad, it will start at $499. So that's pretty important, of course, to a lot of people, simply for the fact that when you go through these devices, you know, what's going to really matter is sometimes price point more than anything else. So because of that, that's one really important feature on that you have the ability. So price point is variant. 32 gig model on the Nexus is $499, whereas 32 gig on the iPad is $599. All right, guys, so let's tally them up and let's see who won. On the look and feel, it will go to the Nexus 10. iPad has just become really stale with its look and feel. Nothing new, nothing flashy. When it comes to web browsing, Nexus 10 takes it just simply for the better resolution, getting more on your screen, as well as the fact that, of course, you can still put Adobe Flash on the Nexus 10 if need be, whereas you cannot on an iPad. For music, it will go to the iPad. iPad has better sound in terms of loudness, so that makes a huge difference to a lot of people. So sound will definitely go for music overall for the iPad. Movies will of course go to the Nexus 10, not only for the truer 16:9 ratio, which just makes it a pleasure to watch videos on, but it's really the clarity difference. Even on this video, I advise you, if you have anyone that has a friend that has a Nexus 10, really watch True HD videos on it, and it's just really amazing. I did it on one video where I showed an episode of like House. Unfortunately, that got taken down, but it's really like no other device that you've ever seen. It makes your TV look like it's bad quality. Let's just put it that way. Unless you have a 4K TV, then it doesn't. But other than that, it really just makes your TV look like it's like old school. Camera quality will go to the iPad, just a bit clear in color saturation. Neither one really gets it on the mark. However, the iPad definitely has better detail. In terms of gaming is still a slight edge to the iPad. Although the Nexus 10 has a better graphics processor compared to the iPad, games tend to come first to the iPad, whereas that is slowly changing. As of right now, we still have to give credit where credit is due to the iPad. Productivity is just always, of course, going to go to Android. It's just you can do more without sacrificing anything. The better thing that Android's always had productivity and customization. Apple used to have the stability and the speed. Now, since as statistically for Android 4.1 and this one has 4.2, of course, but Android 4.1 cresses less compared to iOS 6, as well as speed has kind of been neutralized on both now, simply for the faster processors on Nexus and Android devices in general. Battery life will go to the Nexus 10. Just has a slight edge on battery life compared to the iPad, especially on standby time. It just will last longer, whereas the iPad will drain a little bit quicker on you. Extras will go to the Nexus 10, simply for the fact of micro HDMI and micro USB built in, plus more that you can do with it. If you can connect an external hard drive, keyboard, mouse with the USB end of the Nexus 10, whereas with the iPad, even if you get the adapter, you still can only read a camera, and that's about it. On the accessories, of course, Apple is keen at accessories, so it will maintain its leadership when it comes to accessories over the Nexus 10. And price point will go to the Nexus just for being $100 cheaper for the same storage size. Alright guys, so if we add it up, the Nexus 10 has won over the iPad. Not by a landslide. As I always say, choose your side, which one had the features that you're really looking for in the device. But if you are looking for the overall categories, it was the Nexus 10. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. This has been RICKY, the Android Guy.